Hey, oi, oi, Savaloys. Yes. It is game day. Yes. Hello, everybody. It is Thursday. It is 9. So it's UK Cowboys time. Welcome, everybody. Yes. So before I go any further, make sure everyone watching, get involved, send us your messages. Let us know where you're watching from. We're up on the late shift today. It's going to be a late one. So yes, let us know. But how are you feeling, guys? It's game day.
Oh, I've been ready for this. I've been built up, and that intro music there just builds me up as well, even further. So
yeah. The music is like, that's the thing, and it's the trigger now. It's like
yep.
like what's it called? The dog experiment, with the bell. Pavlov's dog. Yeah. You hear that sound, and it's like, oh, here we go. It's Cowboys. But how are you feeling, Jay?
Apart from a little bit hanging went out last night, but yeah.
Yes, you did.
A bit nervous, excited, apprehensive, all rolled into one. I think this is probably the best time to play the Buccaneers because everyone's on an even keel out there before the goat gets into his full swing and starts destroying the league again.
Yeah. That is true. And playing the number one defensive team against the run, the best time, like you say, to do it is the first game when your running backs are the most fresh.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
That's what I'm going with anyway, guys. I don't know about you.
No, I think all bets are off. I mean, for all everybody's saying Tampa are returning 22 starters, albeit I think Cody Whitehair's out for tonight. This has good potential for us, I think. Oh, Mike's dropped off. Oh God, here we go. This is good.
The first game of the season, and Mike's already blobbing on us there. He's there. He's coming back. We can see him.
He's back.
It's that Welsh internet's gone again.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I pressed the wrong button. I pressed refresh.
No.
Yeah. There's somebody accessing an account, so it keeps popping up with a security alert. And it's like, oh my God. But that's another subject for another day. But here we go then, guys. One of the things as well we're going to do, we were talking about it before, is the Fantasy League, which we're going to do at the end. We'll use this game because people aren't going to have enough time to enter it. We'll just use it as, I don't know what you want to call it, the tester. So it's just like for fun this week, but the league becomes official next week. So we'll go with that. But yes, let's start off with everything, guys, and we start every show as we do with the news and updates, and then we'll crack on with it. All right, so it's nice and simple. So first of all, we all know about the Zach Martin situation with COVID. Apart from that, with all the injuries, pretty clean. Got the practice reports, a full house, which is good to see. I don't know about you guys. For what I saw, I can see a few of those guys that are on there being inactive. So in terms of that, have you got any idea? Have you got any suspicion who they're going to put on the inactive lists yet, guys?
To be honest, I don't see Noah Brown playing today. If he is just back from COVID, chances are his cardiovascular system's not up to scratch, and asking him to go run a 40-yard dash would probably kill you at the moment. Again, we're going to need to. Have we brought anybody up from the practice squad as well? Because you're allowed to bring two up each week. So, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
if that's jumping the gun.
No. It's fine. It's like, you're right. We'll go with it. We'll use it as a segue. That they have brought two other players up, Jeremy Sprinkle and Darian Thompson from the practice squad. They have already said, though, that after the game they're going to revert back to the practice squad. They're not going to keep them and
Yep.
retain them. Under the new rules, they are allowed to do that. So there's a lot of switching and to and fro in with the practice squad guys and with all these injuries. So that is that news. Also, the other news, which is something that scares Cowboys fans, is they're playing the first game in blue. They're playing in their what is classed as their away kit that we call it. Yeah, it has a bit of a bad omen, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's more sort of going back to the 80s that, anytime the Cowboys played in blue, something happened that you weren't gonna win. And I think if you actually look at it, it's a couple of those NFC Championship games that Danny White was leading the team, we were in blue. And for the only problem with Danny White was that he came after Roger Staubach. I mean, taking the Cowboys to the NFC Championship game 3 years running, I mean, should have you high in everybody's books, and it just couldn't get it done, and he was following a legend. So there is a little bit of a curse, but I mean, I think as soon as Jimmy came in, they changed the shade of blue. Changed the pants that they're wearing and all that, and it didn't become as unlucky. So
I like that.
How superstitious are you?
Yeah. And we all know about that with players with numbers and all the rest of it. Also, in other news, the Cowboys versus the Bucks have the largest spread this week for week 1. They're a 7.5-point underdog. Which is more than all the other teams in the NFL, which when you look at some of the matchups, I find crazy. But there we go. All right, then. But when Dak is a 7-point underdog, he's actually been 4-0. On the flip side, Mike McCarthy, he's 0-12.
Yeah.
So we're just balancing things back out there. Obviously, the biggest news for this game is the Bucks have retained all 22 stars, which is like absolutely crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that. But we will get into the offensive side, how they're going to do it. But have you guys got any other news and updates before we move to the offense? Anything from you, Mr. Jamie?
No?
Nothing from you? No? We're moving on?
No.
All right, let's move it on. Guys, so let's look at the offense versus the defense, guys. First thing, I'll ask you both, what's the biggest key for you guys for victory on the offense?
I think the biggest key is obviously how we handle that middle. We've got more than anything, obviously there was concern last week about LC's stinger injury, but the fact that we don't have our probably the best player on the team in Zach Martin, we don't have him there. We posted the stat this week about how Connor McGovern's ready, but it's still to ask somebody to step in for an all-pro. There is going to be a drop-off in some respects. And then if you think that our centre has only actually played 4 games as well, he's not really a grizzled veteran in this league. Yeah. We could have done with somebody like Travis Frederick still being here. And then if you couple on that, where's the weakness in the line been the last couple of years? It has been Connor Williams. So, there certainly is a concern in the middle, and that's always, as Jerry says, you can let the tackles go and take their defensive linemen out to the outside, and that can then step up. But if something's coming up the middle and swarming you up the middle, that's really is a concern. And then, as I mentioned last week, the Bucks have actually been working on a 5-man defensive line that, guys like Vita Vea, 347 pounds, Joe Tryon, the rookie that's been brought in, he's a very good pass rusher as well, or he certainly was in college. Whether it can translate to the pro game, don't know. Then you got JPP, you got Shaq Barrett. You know, that's just going to bring a hell of a lot of pressure. And if these guys can't step up, then, you know, it's going to be a long night for this Cowboys offense.
Yeah. So what about you, Jay? What's your biggest key on the offense in order for the Cowboys to win?
I think you got to get that run game going, haven't we? Zeke looks from Hard Knocks. He looks very lean, very trim and ready to go. He looks hungrier than he has probably done for the last few years. So I think getting that run game, like I say, setting things up a lot easier for Dak. So, do you know what I mean? Rather than having these 2nd and 3rd and 10s, do you know what I mean? It's a lot easier to convert 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. It just, like I say, it helps confuse their defense a little bit more. Like I say, for a few years, it was very predictable on 3rd down. We all could call what was going to happen, and it seems to change a little bit more with Matt McCarthy. But yeah, like I say, I think it's helping set a bit more of an easier offense up for Dak is definitely key to this, and saying getting some of the running backs involved as well. Let's say, because we've got a nice little kind of combo, aren't we? I mean, of different styles of running. So just confusing them a little bit more is definitely, in addition to what Laura mentioned about keeping the middle up, is definitely what we need.
Yeah, I know where you're going in terms of not trying to be one-dimensional, basically. But the thing that does concern me is that this defense, which is the same defense, if anything, it's got a little bit better, more experience, and they've added to it. It was the best defense against the run. So for me, and they were 22nd against the pass. So for me, the main thing for me is keeping Dak upright. So I know where you're going, Jay, that is trying to not be one-dimensional, because, yeah, for me, when I was looking at it, Dak is the key to this. Keep him upright, keep him solid, and it's all going to be on that right-hand side of the line for me.
I think everybody as well is going to be the same out there in terms of just for the fact that we haven't seen a lot of him. Well, we've not seen him in pre-season any games. So I think when that because it's inevitable it's going to happen. It's pretty hard to not. I mean, at least allow one sack or at least one hit during a game. I think that first time someone gets through and gives him a bit of a nudge, I think everyone's heads are going to be in their hands and looking through the fingers just to be like, is he going to get up? He obviously will do, but I think just especially with the injury that he came back from. But he's looking good. So fingers crossed. That first get that one out of the way and we can start to enjoy the game. And I mean, because like you said, he hasn't done any preseason work really, Dak. So the big thing is just to get some not motivation. He's got plenty of that, but just to get momentum and get things going, get him settled in. So I can see it being a lot rather than opposed to giving the ball to Zeke. You might see some swing passes going on there for him. But I can see it being a little bit chippy to begin with, a little dink and dunk, and then they'll start. Once Dak finds a rhythm and he's finding that confidence back, he's going to get going. Yeah, as long as Mike McCarthy doesn't get one of those stupid ideas of let's maybe do some kind of swing pass and then put Dak out as a lead blocker.
Yeah. So, and you brought up a good one as well. Is the big one was Lyle because of the stingers. Now he has practiced this week, which is good news. The one for me is because he needs to hold up Barrett over there. Going back through the stats since 2019, he has 137 quarterback pressures. That is the most of any defensive end in the NFL since 2019. That is just crazy. He's just running them up like nobody's business. So that's scary. Obviously McGovern for me, right? Because people are saying about the McGovern thing. Let's talk about that. I mean, I actually think a lot of people say about with McGovern, his pass protection, because bear in mind where he's from, Penn State, very much used to those linebackers and defensive ends and the core coming down the middle. So he's actually used to the pass protection and getting blitzes and picking them up. His issue is run blocking. So people are saying, they were, that is the big thing. And you can literally see it. And what is crazy is his run blocking when he's a left guard as opposed to a right guard, completely different as well. But in terms of the pass protection, I think he's completely fine. But I did like the other thing he brought, Tyler Biadasz. I think he's absolutely key here to the line. He is the most important. If he succeeds, the rest of the line will all follow through because it's coming through the middle, whether you like it or not. Sue, all right, you can say what you want about him. He's still a good defensive tackle, especially pass rush from the middle. Obviously, he's aged and he's grown a little. Getting a bit long in the tooth, but there we go. And then you've got Vita Vea as well. So it's all going to be coming through the middle, and he's got to be able to withstand that. I think Tyler Biadasz, absolutely, I think that's the big thing. The one I did notice, though, is two things. The Tampa Bay have the lowest blitz rate in the NFL, obviously because the middle line doesn't need to. They do have a good linebacker core as well. That can bring it. But here's an interesting one for you. They only lost 5 times last season. All 5 times when they lost, they were losing at halftime.
Please don't put that. You get the commentator's curse, because you know what's going to happen now. You said that. We're going to win it and we'll screw the poach in the second half.
I mean, like, a lot of it is not down to their defense. It's down to Tom Brady getting flustered. Because if you fluster him, I mean, obviously we'll get to that side in a minute. Right. Sorry. We do have somebody who's trying to get onto the show as well. I will try and do 3 things at once, yeah? But the one for me is, if you are going to do that and you're going to get ahead at halftime, time of possession then becomes key. That's the one for me. Get the time of possession. Yeah. If you're ahead at halftime, kill the game. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah, what you want is Brady having to pass the ball all the time, because then Dan Quinn can scheme up the blitzes, the coverage, whatever, to basically limit how effective he is. But in order to do that, we need to be able to ground and pound that with our offense. We've got to first of all get the points on the board, get a lead, maintain that lead by then pounding it out as well. So the time ticks away. Obviously, if the ball hits the ground in an incomplete pass or anything, the clock stops. If we go out of bounds, clock stops. Anything like that, and you're giving Brady time. And Brady is a master at using every single second. And one of the things as well that Brady's quite good at, both with the Bucks and at when he was with New England, was making sure that he got the ball back before halftime, got a late touchdown in the first half, and obviously 9 times out of 10 they deferred to the second half, so they got the ball in the second half, take the offense again, get another touchdown, and obviously then the opposition are on the back foot. So we've got to control that. We've got to get the points on the board, then grind it out so that you're putting Brady under a time pressure as well as the pressure of the defense as well.
Yeah. Anything to add on that one, Jay?
No, yeah, I think hit the nail there. It's one of them things, isn't it? And we've fallen foul of it. Most recently, when it was the playoff game against the Packers, in terms of you don't give arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play this game the ball with 2 minutes to go, 3 points down, because it's just one of them. Brady doesn't need those, and he's proved up throughout his career that he doesn't need these all-pro receivers and these kind of, and just use as an example, he doesn't need the CD Lambs and that kind of thing. He just needs some. You know what I mean? He just needs someone that can get open. It doesn't matter if it's a rookie or it's a 12-year veteran. It's just as long as we I think I'll be a lot more comfortable if, like I say, if we get to that 2-minute mark in the fourth quarter and we're more than a touchdown in front, because I can't say, you know what I mean, it takes that nervousness of a 2-minute drill out of the equation, and you know what I mean. And then, like as well, it's going to force him to throw the ball, because if they're more than a touchdown down, they're not going to essentially run the ball. They're going to want to get a quick score and get the ball back. So I'd be a little bit more confident in that. But yeah, I think Long perfectly hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, you know they're going to use the time up, and I think that if they get ahead, they're going to be banking on us doing that and trying to give the ball to Zeke. And I think this is going to be an interesting game to see if that did happen, how they go and they operate it, because they do have the 3 wide receivers that we know about. They have really good matchups, especially from the slot. The slot is a really, really good. I was going through the analytics. The numbers on it are insane. But a big one for me, Blake Jarwin up on the seam route, because they have a safety who's out injured. So he can, I think if you get 40 yards out of Blake, that's good. But the good one where out of the 2 tight ends I like the most is Dalton Schultz, purely because of his size. You have the safety of that size, a 200-pound safety against Schultz, who's like, 230? You're going to struggle with that.
And I think they're good. From something that was said earlier this week on, I think it was Hanging with the Boys, that Schultz is actually the starting tight end in the sort of depth chart that Kurt Daniels was handed, and obviously went out to the media. I think Schultz is actually the starting tight end this week.
Nice.
So they're obviously still taking it a bit canny with Blake Jarwin, and you know, and maybe Schultz is a better blocker of the 2. And obviously we're going to have Sprinkle up, so Sprinkle will be, you know, Sprinkle's known as a blocker. So, you know, if we go to a 2 tight end set, don't be surprised if you got Sprinkle on there as well. So,
yeah, because they are light there, and the thing that I think the biggest thing you can do to win this game is just to continually use up that time of possession and keep your offense on the field. You help the defense by keeping the offense on the field, whatever it is that you're doing, in whatever sense, you know.
I think we touched on that. Always, let's just hope, like I said, we know how good this Tampa front, the front end of this defense is. Hopefully, so, I mean, like I said, we can get the run game going pretty early. But if we've seen it, haven't we, before, that if the run game starts to kind of fall away and we're not on track, we kind of tend to go away from it a lot sometimes. And that's especially, again, who we're playing. I mean, the Super Bowl champions, they retained the starting squad from last year. So we know what we're going to be coming up against, even though it's the early game. So you just got to keep pounding that rock, like I say. Even if it's just 1 or 2 yards, it's got to be one of them nights. This has got to be, if anything, this is probably going to be the scrappiest win of the season, like I say, just for the fact that everyone's kind of still getting up to speed, up to fitness, but it's just one of them where you want to get it out of the way and you take a win however it comes, but just don't deviate away from the run.
And what is crazy when you talk about what you was just saying there, Jay, you know, because they had all their stars come back, which we've talked about continuously. But the thing that you've got to think about is that these guys, they didn't really need to do a preseason, because if you're playing with all your stars, you already know the playbook. You already know what all your strengths and weaknesses are. So these guys are fresh, and like on offense, freshness is good. You know, you can't deny the freshness.
It's such a luxury to have, isn't it? Like I said, that they can retain all the stars, and then obviously we've had the draft, and it changes your outlook on your draft. You say you're essentially, you know what I mean, you've got a prize pick on you, because you don't need essentially for them to come in and start. You can blood them in a little bit easier than you. I mean, like a Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's going to get thrown into the like a lion to the slaughter in it. To be fair, and sorry, a lamb to the slaughter. It's just it'd be nice to have that embarrass of riches at some point.
Yeah, I mean, like, we'll move on to the Bucks defense in a minute. We'll fly into that. It's really, for me, the big thing is keeping the middle of that line, which is why I keep saying Tyler Biadasz is key. For me, that's the big key here. Lyle Collins, what we're hoping for is we've got 2019 Lyle Collins back. That's what we're hoping for, that we get that guy back. Mm-hmm. If we've got that guy, I think that right-hand side of the line will cover nicely, that it will do its job. I don't know what you guys think. Would you go 11-man on this, or would you be worried more and bring in your 12-man packages a bit more?
I think initially you want to go 10, 11 personnel and just see how we handle it, how LC's handling it, how Tyron's doing as well, and if need be, you bring in your extra tight ends. Because the one thing, yes, having two tight ends, and you'll see it with the Tampa Bay offense as well, is having two tight ends. You don't know which one's going out to pass. You don't know which one's staying in the block. You could have them both staying in the block, and then you're relying on the receivers or the running back to catch passes. You just it adds a little bit of uncertainty, but. The more that the offensive line can handle themselves, the more that it opens up your playbook. Going the two tight end set can somewhat restrict what you can be calling.
Yeah, I know where you're going there, and as especially when you think with Blake Jarwin as well, we know that he does struggle in the pass protection side of it all. What was it I said before? Falling over slowly is the best way to describe his blocking, and it is when you watch it. That's what it looks like. I'm not saying anything bad, obviously, about Blake Jarwin. Here's another crazy one that people haven't been really talking about that much, is that this is the first time that we're seeing Blake Jarwin over here. Nobody's saying like, oh, how's he been getting on? We're just assuming everything's fine, but he still hasn't played a game since 2019.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing when the Bucks are doing their scouting. I mean they're effectively going to have to go back to 2019, 2020, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to see how the offense ran with Dak.
A full.
And obviously we'd lost Jarwin by the end of the second quarter in the Rams game. So I mean, you are basically going back to 2019 to see what you've got, and try and scout against that. And that maybe does play into the offense's hands a bit. The fact that as Steve has said there, that we're facing them in week 1 is probably the best. The best time to face a team, particularly
that is true.
Particularly a team that's returning so many starters and has the knowledge of how each of these guys work. They haven't seen us in play. They haven't seen the first string offense really in preseason, where yes, most people are vanilla in a way, but you can get an idea of how people are at their blocking, what their assignments are, little tips and tricks for the offense, for the receivers. Are they going on an inside release or an outside release? You can pick up some of that with the preseason games. But, as far as the actual game planning is concerned, they are going to have to go back to when our whole team was together. And hopefully Kellen Moore has evolved his game planning that way. And if Kellen Moore has 9 or 10 trick plays in his playbook, I'd be getting about 3 or 4 of these out now, and get them out during this game, and just stir it up a little bit. Get the defence second guessing.
They drop it, like I said. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a lot of the two tight end packages, just for the fact that we've got an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. It would just. I probably think it would confuse them a little bit more, like you say, because then you've got two in now. Is like I say, they're both into block. Is one into block, whereas if you put Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Cooper in, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a pass play. And it's like you say, so just to and like I say, just to try a lot more stuff out, because the season is new, you know what I mean? It's everyone's at a scratch. You can, like you say, like Law mentioned there, like a few trick plays here and there, just to see if they're working. If they don't, then you put them in towards the end of the season and don't think about it again. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a lot of it today, just to see what we can do with confusing their defense and to get some points on the board, or even to get some yards and churn that clock up as well. Yeah,
because this is something we've spoke about quite a lot on this show before in the past, was Kellen Moore's play calling. That we're happy with it between the 20-yard lines, from 20 to 20, really good.
Yep.
Has some really good ideas, seems to be making the right shots and calls, and it works. The issue is the red zone. But I actually think that this is a good game for Kellen Moore, because the Bucks in the red zone they're okay, especially against the run. They're more than okay, but in terms of passing, they do leak. And I think this is a good game for Kellen Moore to sit there and go, well, let's not get too fancy. Let's try just seeing what we do if we keep things, keep it simple, and try and just get the ball in a orderly fashion and stay on time with it in the red zone. I mean, are you guys going to, do you think that that's a good way to think, or are you thinking the trick play is the way to go, and, the jet sweeps and the rest of it?
I think you've got to try out, just for the fact, like I said, the red zone's not been happening ground in recent years as it has when Jay Witt and everybody was in there, and you could pretty much put your mortgage on getting a touchdown.
Where it's going, yeah.
So I think just anything just to kind of get the juices flowing, like you say, and even just more so to knock their crowd, because essentially this is their party, isn't it? This is the banner and all that kind of stuff, and so you want to go in there. You want to piss off the Super Bowl champions. You know what I mean? You want to put a marker down early. So yeah, I won't take anything off the cards. You know what I mean? We mentioned it in jokingly. Dak as a lead blocker. You know what I mean? If it happened, then you know what I mean, it's trying something different in it.
I know where you're going. Yeah. Keep moving it and using it until you find it. Yeah. But have you guys got any other notes on the Cowboys offense before we move to the Cowboys defense?
Nope.
I think the only thing is to say, I think it's when we've spoke about him before, it's always kind of been on the down, and I think this is we touched on kind of like the addition stuff. I think this is a massive year for Connor Williams, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just from the fact that he was, as long back, it was a beast for Texas, and it's just not transitioned to the NFL, sadly. So I think this could be the making of him this year. If he don't cut it now, I think they're going to move on from him this year. So I'd like to see him step up and really cement himself in that line as someone that can be a dominant force and not give up sacks and a lot of pressures, that kind of thing. That's what you want. That's why he was drafted so high. So I think that's one for the offense for me, is to watch out this year, just to see how he gets on. Yeah,
I mean, do you think perhaps though that him being moved around from the line up and down that line so much is something that stunted his growth?
Yeah, probably. I say, because I know. I mean, I'm probably not the best person to kind of say, because I mean, I'm in a blow away and a good win. But yeah, I think especially with the way that line plays, they like to have it aggressive. You'd like to see him be in one spot and try and make it really his own. I mean, there's only an odd couple of people on that line. Like I say, Lyle's played tackle and played it well. He's played guard and he's played it well. And I mean, every now and again you've seen that Tyrant. I mean, I'm sure Tyrant Smith could move in and do that. So it takes a special kind of breed. I mean, they're a kind of a rare breed of talent out there. Those kind of guys that can do that. So yeah, put him in one spot. I mean, if it's a right tackle, it's a right tackle. If it's left guard, it's left guard. I mean, just don't overcomplicate it for him. Let him get his feet wet and let's get him to the level that we thought we were going to get when we drafted him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's been interesting that we've, we moved him inside rather than, I think last year we were screaming that with Terence Steele being the tackle and what have you, why don't you bring some Connor McGovern into guard and then you've got Connor Williams that you could switch out to tackle. I think this is actually a ploy by the Cowboys that, if they'd moved Connor out to tackle and he actually blossomed there, then it probably would be more difficult to sign him next year because tackles are where the money is made on the offensive line. By keeping him in the inside, potentially using them as a possible swing player into the center as well. You're keeping his price down. You're determining what his flexibility is along that line, but you're keeping his price down for any future contracts. And I think they maybe have seen enough that they could work with Connor going forward. Yes, we talk about him being the weak link of this offensive line, but you're talking about an offensive line that has two All-Pros and one guy who is there or thereabouts in Lyle Collins. So, most teams would actually kill to have one All-Pro or Pro Bowl player. So, we've got, even though our guys are getting older now, how long they're going to be together. They haven't played together, I don't think, as a full squad since 2019.
Correct.
So, can we keep this going?
Do you think it's his thingy as well? Just thought about it off then. The way that this offensive line played to such a high level for a number of years, it's kind of one of those things where it's a dream, and when you come in through the college ranks to be like, you know what, I've been drafted by the Cowboys. That this offensive line is unreal, and then you kind of the level is so high that there's so much pressure on these guys to fall straight in there, and I wonder if it's just sometimes it's a little bit too much pressure to put on them. And no, I just feel like you've seen some of them before. Some of the worst offensive lines. Is that probably the best way to maybe come into the league? And when you're that high of a caliber player in college to really be able to cement your place, because the offensive line for a team is ranked the worst one. So it's like, well, it can't get any worse. But if you come into the number one ranked offensive line, the pressure's even more than you would get. So I wonder if for a few of them that's what it's been, just the fact that you want to keep this offensive line built up, and there's just so much pressure to keep it going, and you just can't get your foot in the door properly straight away.
I think you're right. I mean, that's a byproduct of the fact that we're in this salary cap. Back in the 70s and the 80s, for Landry actually excelled at, and you did have one All-Pro giving way to another All-Pro, is because Landry didn't normally start you until your third season. And at that point, that was when you were ready to hit the ground running. You'd had 2 years of sitting behind, only getting called on for injury situations. Excuse me.
Nope.
And we don't have that now. You're actually now coming straight in, and you're expected to be able to hit the ground running and go up against guys like Vita Vea, Jason Pierre-Paul, and all that sort of stuff. Actually, the same way that where you see the rookie quarterbacks, like, would Peyton Manning, if he'd gone number 2 and it had been Ryan Leaf had gone to Indianapolis, would Ryan Leaf have floated and would Peyton Manning have bummed out? You just don't know. It all depends on the situation, and it depends how they deal with the pressure of stepping in and expecting to be a performer from that point, from day one onwards.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there, and yeah, there's a lot to be said. I mean, like, and the thing with the O-line as well is the old. I think me and you have spoken about this before on the 150 rule, which is like the rule of thumb they use for the age of your O-line, combined age, and the closer you are to it is the pinnacle. But once you go over or under, that's where things get further apart. It is crazy, and when you look at it, it does work. And as you say, our line is getting a little bit older. I'll have to go check the 150 rule on our line. I'll check it after the show, and I'll post it up. I should know that, or I'll do it for the post game show. But let's move on, guys, to the defense, on how we think the Cowboys defense will win the day. This is always the tricky part for us on this one, the defense, because we all know what this defense did last year, or didn't do, we should say. Before we get into the nit and gritty of this, what is it that gives you the biggest hope for us on the defense? I'll ask you guys this.
Well, I think to begin with, I think the fact that Tom Brady is going to come to the line, and he's going to look across the line, and he's going to see there's Danny White, there's Tony Romo, there's Chad Hutchinson, and you've got Kyle Orton as a safety as well. So
yeah, that's right. I was just about to say.
He said this week, he's repeated again this week that
he was against it, wasn't he? He hated
it. He was against it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got to think back that, when he was playing at Michigan, surely guys were wearing odd numbers like that as well. So he's just got, this is his year 22, as you saw. It got tweeted out today, and he posted that let's go and everything like that. He's got to think back, and I'm sure he'll be able to cope, and I'm sure this is all bluster. I mean, the other thing he reported saying this week is that obviously the NFL's made it easier for offenses, and I tend to agree on that one. I think
I do agree with that as well. Yeah,
back in the 70s, it wasn't, guys like Roger Staubach, who led the league in passing. That was back in the days where anything goes. Even after 5 yards, they were still holding on a much greater scale. Guys were able to hit defenseless receivers. There wasn't any of this protection for quarterbacks and everything like that. The number of concussions that Staubach had back in the 70s, and Danny White and Hogaboom and everybody in the 80s as well. And think of the number of times that Troy Aikman had it in the 90s, that he went out on concussions and was sitting back in the next week and what have you. Now he'd probably be sitting out 2 weeks or whatever.
I'm just gonna chuck something in for you that's just come in. I know it's not Cowboys related, but it's just crazy. TJ Watt's just signed a deal, $112 million.
And just think, he could have been our starting defensive end.
I know.
Instead of tackle.
But can you imagine? Yeah, instead of tackle. But can you imagine trying to pay Dak and TJ Watt there?
Oh, I know.
Wow.
Such
wow.
Some player, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a crazy deal. I
understand why we didn't draft him.
If you want to use that as a positive, find positives, mate.
Just of while they said they didn't see him as a guy with his hand in the dirt, and that's what they were looking for at the time, weren't they? Which, at the time made sense, but hindsight's a fine thing sometimes, isn't it? And looked out on both Watts brothers essentially, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I did try to find positives in the taco draft. But I mean, you know, the issue was that it seemed to be more the mentality side with him. You know, still mind-boggling, still baffling. But there we go. So for me, I think the big thing here, what I've put is the play action pass is going to be a big one, because I don't want them overselling too much on the run, because that is going to, with these wide receivers, absolutely get them killed. But the thing that gives me the biggest hope is Dan Quinn. I don't know what you guys think.
I was thinking the exact same thing, just for the fact that everyone knows that when he's got the right personnel in his schemes, how nasty his defenses can be. So yeah, and to be fair, just to kind of put it on, it's a lot different, this defense to last year. Like I say,
faster is what it is.
We've invested heavily in. If you look, just to go back to this draft, it was heavily on the defense. So it's a lot different. So I think we're going to see, even in players like in Marcus Lawrence, not that they're not, but I think we'll see him play a lot nastier this year, just for the fact that we've got someone in there that's coached these high level defenses in the past, and that's what we've lacked. We've lacked a bit of naughtiness and nastiness on this defense over the last few years, and I mean, it
can't get worse, can it? The defense can't get worse than it was last year.
Well, we were 31st last year. There's 32 teams in the league, so it's really quite good.
Okay.
Let's not go there.
When you look at what they've done, though, you can't really see it being that bad again.
No. I mean, the change in personnel. I mean, we've brought both free agency and the draft were heavily skewed towards the defensive side of things. We've brought in Dan Quinn's system, which, you know, even again in preseason, what we have seen of it, and again, preseason tends to be a vanilla style defense. You don't want to be tipping things off. You know, it was effective. I mean, particularly the Cardinals game, where you know, we didn't allow them a first, or we didn't allow them to convert a third down. Or was that the Houston game? I honestly can't remember. But
it was the Houston game.
Houston game, we didn't allow them to convert a third down. So I have a lot of belief in this defense. I think it is going to be a lot better. Will there be teething problems? Yeah, no doubt.
Of course, yeah.
And we just, you know, let Tom dink and dunk down the field, and then when, you know, play it big in the red zone. I think that's our best way of doing it. So. Yeah.
Well, here's a big. Go on.
The one thing to break down on Tom Brady is that I think there was a stat a couple of years ago that, you know, if you get to Tom Brady 2 or 3 times a game, get sack on him, the odds are heavily stacked in your favor to win that game. So Tom Brady doesn't like being pressured, doesn't like being sacked. And he does still, even now, get rattled when he's been taken down 2 or 3 times a game. So get there, and that's our best way of taking him down. Yep.
Yeah, well, here we go. I'll give you the numbers, in fact. I've got the numbers on that. Is from a clean pocket, his on-target accuracy is 78%, and he has 114 quarterback passer rating. The average in the league is 79%, so he's average on there, but it's 103 on the pass rating, so he's above average in that sense. When he gets pressurized, it falls apart. 53% on target accuracy and 50 quarterback passer rating. The average in the league is 64% and 68 in passer rating. Now, I think a lot of that, because people will go, wow, that is like, he's way, way below average. That I think a lot of that is because since 2017, when he's under pressure, those stats are coming down each year. You can watch it like stepping stone each year. Last year being the worst when he's under pressure. And it's age. Not that he's getting older so he doesn't know how to do it. He's throwing the ball away. He doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't want to. He's trying to keep himself upright and fresh and not taking these knocks. So he throws the ball out of bounds into the ground wherever. So he's not taking those big hits. So what happens then is obviously the accuracy and the pass rating and those stats all take a tumble with it. And that is a big reason. And so you don't necessarily need to get the sacks on Tom, is the story here. It's getting in his face, getting into his grill and go and putting it in there, because he's going to throw the ball away. He's not going to try and take the risks.
Do you know, I totally agree, but I think, do you know, there's one name that we haven't kind of mentioned as well. And if we can shut this other guy down, then I think it makes our. I mean, if somebody can shut down Gronk, then it's essentially lights out, because it would be like what Wick to Tony Romo. I mean, it's his go-to guy. If someone can just shut him down, I know it's easier said than done, isn't it? But
ironically, I think, like, you know, if you look at like Malik Hooker and Kazee, I think they're the type of guys that can do it. They have the right game to be at 8. You're never going to completely shut a tight end down. Tight end killers in this league I can think of 3, and even those guys will still have been beaten by tight ends. Do you know what I mean? Very rare are those tight end killers. It's just that is the position. When you look at the last 3 teams that made it to Super Bowls, what do they all have? A really good tight end. It's no coincidence that the top 3 teams have the last 3 teams that have gone to a Super Bowl have the top 3 tight ends in the league. It's just it's no surprise. For me, that's why I think the middle is important for the D line. And I've been saying it all off season. This is the bit I'm worried about the most, is the middle of our defensive line.
Yeah, I think we've touched on it on numerous shows, haven't we? I know I've banged on about it quite a bit, that realistically was it probably the 90s defense. We've not had that nasty run stuff, a kind of a series prime kind of defensive tackle. It's just, and we've all seen it, we've all commented about it. It's like, why do the personnel in the front office not see this as well? That get some nasty fucker in the middle and just let him chew the shit out of that middle of their offensive line all day long. What do you mean?
Like, you look at Urban. Urban's good against the run. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Carlos Watkins, I mean, he seems to be the Joker card. Not that he's a Joker, but the Joker card in a rhetorical sense. The best matchup I can see on the defensive line is Randy Gregory, because Tank has got Tristan Wirfs over him, who's a talent. He's going to hold up at right tackle against Tank over there. Randy Gregory against Donovan Smith. That seems to be the best place where the pressure is going to come from. If he can get there, and if Randy Gregory gets into Brady's face, the game is over for them. Is whether how often and how good Gregory efficient he's going to be going into there, because you got to chuck in Osa as well, because he's looked good in the preseason, but you got to remember he's a rookie and he still needs time and all the rest of it. So the piece for me that I'm looking at, and I don't know how they're going to use him, and he's really the next part in all of this, is how do they use Micah Parsons? This is going to be the key.
Do you know, and you touched on the name a bit earlier on. I was impressed with the signing. There's not a massive amount of tape on him, but the tape that you see of him, he's always causing havoc down the middle, sometimes out on the edge. And he's one of my sneaky outsiders for our defensive player of the year. He's Urban. When he gets on the field, he always seems to make the most of the opportunity he has on the field. So it won't surprise me if he gets a sneaky sack or 2 tonight. Get my teeth in at some point.
Well, I've got Brent Urban's stats, because that was something I was looking at too. So 3 sacks and he had 10 pressures, and that was over 180 pass snaps. What was more impressive, which is why I said about the the run defense side, 181 run defensive snaps, and he had 19 tackles for a loss.
Crazy, isn't it?
That is some good numbers. So he's not that bad against, in pass defense. But I think what they're going to use Brent Urban is he's going to be the Swiss Army knife up and down that line. So that's another thing to look at, how they're going to use him. Osa up the middle, I think, is going to be an important one. But like I say, there's the rookie situation, and they did use him a lot in preseason. And you've seen it. Which game was it? Was it the Houston game? I think it might be the Houston game. And they played him all. And you could see the fourth quarter, he was gassing. He was really struggling towards the end. That you could see it was the stamina and the match fitness that he was struggling with there. The other concern, because there's so many mismatches on this, isn't there? The other issue you've got is Antonio Brown against Anthony Brown.
Yep.
I mean, how do you go about solving that issue out?
I think the whole of that wide receiver core, actually. I mean, you've got Mike Evans, who obviously will be up against Trey Diggs. Even their fourth is Scotty Miller. I mean, that's he flashed last year as well. So I mean, a lot of people have been in the build up to this have been talking about how which wide receiver core is the better wide receiver core. I think our top three wide receivers can certainly match up against their top three wide receivers. Is Cedric Wilson better than Scotty Miller? I don't know. And that just gives Brady another sort of weapon. They don't have to, we've talked there about how if you're in a two tight end set, which tight end's coming out, and obviously Brady's got two good ones there. You've got concerns about if they do go to a 10-man personnel, or even if they go an empty backfield altogether. I mean, who the hell are you going to be covering? Who are you bringing on? There's going to be mismatches. It's just what I like about this defense is that we do have pace, and we haven't had that necessarily in the last couple of years. And any years that we have been good, the defense has had pace and has been swarming around the ball. As soon as it's out, everybody turns and goes in that direction, maintaining their lanes so that there's no cutbacks. And as long as we play within the scheme that Dan Quinn set down, I think we'll be a hell of a lot better this year. And I need to see how it goes tonight. And this is a great test because, next week we've got Herbert. There's a difference in the drop. Herbert's he's an up and comer. But there is a drop off between Brady and him, and this is a way to test our defense so that we can get some confidence for going into the other games this season.
So I mean, we talked about Carlos Watkins. I think he really needs to play. He needs to be the guy that plays out for us. If you can get that middle of the line done, because fastest way between 2 points is a straight line. So the middle of the line, if you can get to Tom quicker, although Randy Gregory has the good matchup, just remember, Tom Brady's smart. He's going to know that that's where it's coming from, that he knows that Wirfs is going to hold up on the right. So that's fine. So for me, the big thing I put on you is you help the defense by keeping your offense on the field. The best way the defense can win, if they're able to, it's going to be turnovers. Turnovers, I think, for me, are going to come tip passes on the middle, going to your safeties, or by getting into his face and he throws, some flagrant balls around. But turnovers are going to be key here. I don't know what you think on that.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly. I think, we've got to become a more ball-hawking, hungry team for it. Again, we've seen it in preseason from the Fox point of view, where Keanu Neal, Micah Parsons have all jumped on balls. We've we just need to get the defensive backs being able, and the cover 3 defense should help that. In that a lot of the corners should be facing Tom Brady, see where he's going, where he's throwing the ball, and it's not just a case of turn it last second and try and get your hand up. I think, going back to the Marinelli days, I think it was always make sure that you go for the tackle.
Fly to the ball, get the tackle. Yeah. By all means, give up the pass, but you can come back from giving up a 10-yard pass than, whiffing on an interception and the guy's already 20 yards down the field. And we saw that last year, the number of blown coverages last year. So I think we've got a new core of defensive backs in there. We're going to see guys like Kennedy. We're going to see Lewis. The problem there is Lewis in the slot. Maybe is he going up against one of those tight ends that we're talking about on a two tight end set? I can see if they're going to bring in J-Lo, it's going to be to try and help cover up Antonio Brown. That would be the way I would use J-Lo. If Antonio Brown goes into the slot, the thing for me for the defensive backs is going to be Kennedy. That's the one for me. He seems to be the most important piece, if you like, for them on that side. But right, before we move to the next section, and I'll ask everybody at home as well watching, give us your score predictions. All right, score predictions, yeah. Everyone always gets pissed off with mine because no matter what, I always say the Cowboys are going to win. Do you want to do my score prediction first so you guys have got time to think? At home, give us your score predictions. Put it in the comments. Right. I think it's going to be Cowboys win, obviously. 28-24.
Right.
That's mine.
I played the game on Madden this week. I was quite happy with the score I had on that as well.
I like it.
I had the Cowboys winning 17-10. It wasn't a pretty performance by Dak, but Zeke got into the end zone twice. And more importantly, I was able to limit Brady to 100 yards passing. So I would love it if that happened again this time round in real life. Yeah. But
because Madden is real.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, so that's what you're going for, is it?
Yep. I'll go 17-10 Cowboys.
All right, going for the Madden simulation to predict the scores. All right then. Give us yours then, Jay. What are you going with, pal?
My heart is saying 17-14 to the Cowboys, but my head's saying 24-10 to the Bucks.
Ooh, all right. I like it. Always enjoy a good bit of what's the word we're looking for?
Stupidity.
All right, we'll go with that, mate. We'll go with that. Not that we want to call you stupid, but all right, we'll go with that, mate. But let's get into the final section. We can wrap things up, and if some of you are going to sleep because it's a 1 o'clock kickoff here in the UK, you can. But here's the little segment, and we'll explain how it works later on in the season for you guys to win in this competition. So here we go. All right. So what we've got coming up for you guys, and we'll be putting a post up on the page, and basically it's cumulative scores. So if you get the first one right, and you get the next one right, so obviously the scores double each time. All it is we give you the score of what NFL.com are predicting the player to get. All you got to do is say higher or lower. It's easy as that. Over or under, whichever you want to say. And at the end of the season, we'll do a little leaderboard, which will go up every week. Whoever's wins at the end of the season, you get a UK Cowboys hat. Yay! But it's just something for a bit of fun, guys. So I'm going to ask you guys, play along at home this week, because obviously the game is tonight. We won't be able to put that leaderboard up and give people chance, which is why I said it. If obviously the game's on a Sunday, plenty of time for people to play on the Friday and the Saturday, and Mwah. And away we go. But here we go then, guys. All right. Dak from NFL.com rounded off scores, up or down, depending. 20 fantasy points. Is that oh boy for less, or boy oh boy, he's going to get more?
I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna go boy oh boy.
Going for more. All right, I'm going to write this down.
I'm gonna go oh boy.
And hold on, let me put your name down now. I know how to spell Jamie.
I'm hoping
Okay.
Law's right, just for the fact that Dak's my starting quarterback in my fantasy teams.
Hey, I got Dak in we do the NFL UK Fantasy League. Managed to get Dak as our quarterback.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't get Zeke though. Sorry, guys. He's already gone. All right, then the next one, Zeke. 14 fantasy points. Is that oh boy or boy? No, wait. Oh boy, or oh boy?
Oh boy.
Well,
I'm being really miserable tonight. I think I need to change from water to Jaeger, maybe.
I'll go boy oh boy again as well. I think he's gonna surprise the Bucks D, and I think we're gonna get 100 yards out of him, maybe a score as well. So
yeah, well, this is half PPR, right? And I'm thinking Zeke, he actually gets an equal number of rushing and receiving yards, and that's where he makes his 14 points up. And I wonder if that's where NFL.com are thinking on that one. I think that he catches a pass over the top, runs, get a few of them, that knocks your points up. Away we go.
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, CD Lamb then, guys. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. CD Lamb, 16 fantasy points.
I think purely on the fact of how many targets Dak has, I will go oh boy on that one.
Spreading it around.
Yep.
Like Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin, even Tony Pollard eating into some of that production.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've got to go the same, just for the fact that I said Dak was going to get less points. So I'd be contradicting myself earlier on saying Dak's going to get less points, but his receivers are going to get more.
All right, then. Here's a tough one, right, guys? Here's a toughie. The Cowboys defense rounded off 6 fantasy points.
I'm going to go boy on this one. I think the defense is going to play well tonight. I think it's going to get a couple of takeaways. Maybe even either a strip sack or an interception back for 6 tonight.
Oh, a pick 6 would be nice. Micah Parsons starts his career off with a pick 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know what I'm thinking, like something like, you get something random, Keanu Neal on a fumble that gets recovered.
Yep.
You get one of them spurious ones.
I'll go boy oh boy as well on that one.
You're going boy oh boy. All right, here we go. All right then. Tom Brady and play as well at home. They're not quite playing for the competition yet. That starts next week, but playing for fun for now. Tom Brady, 21 fantasy points. So is that boy oh boy for more or oh boy for less?
Well, I think if we're saying that the defense is going to get more, I'm going to go boy oh boy on that one. Sorry, I'm going to go oh boy on that one.
Oh boy, he's going to score less than 21.
He's going to score less.
All right, DJ Jog in the house. Good to see you, brother. Go on, NJ. 21.
I agree. I think he's going to get less. Not by many, I don't think. But he's not going to get 21.
Yeah. All right then. Right, let's go. Godwin, 13 fantasy points. That's a cheeky one. Yeah, these get tough, don't they?
Is he not hampered by a hamstring at the moment?
Yeah,
as well?
quad. He had a quad injury earlier in the week. Yeah.
I'll go oh boy on that one.
Okay. Oh boy.
I'm going to go less just for the fact that if he's coming back from a bit of a niggling injury, I think the Bucks might play it a little bit safe and not get him involved too much tonight. Just ease him back.
All right. We'll put that down as well then. Mike Evans, same again, 13 fantasy points. And the thing for me, I always say with Mike Evans, obviously Aggies fan, seen a lot of him, is he sets his office up downfield.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, a minute. I tell you what we'll do. We'll just get somebody on and we'll get his game predictions on. We got Shannon. How you doing, brother?
Hello! How's it going?
Not bad. How are things over in sunny Tampa?
It's humid as hell. My beard is growing by the minute, and we're here in the press conference room where the coach and players will be after the game. So it's nice and it's weird. It's looks like a parking garage. So
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, that's the back. That's what it looks like back of house. So there you go. Behind the scenes look here in Tampa. So how you boys doing?
Not bad. Yeah, we are in for the long haul. It's a 1:20 a.m. kickoff here. Yeah, Heckma had the same reaction when I told him earlier. He found it quite funny. So we are supposed to send a message on to you from Paul as well. He says hello. He wimped out. No, I'm only joking. He's had other things going on, so he couldn't join tonight. But what we thought while we got you on, we've just done the score predictions ourselves. So give us a synopsis of how you think the game's going to go and a score prediction.
Man, I tell you what, I think this thing could go a number of ways. I think if the Cowboys, if they hold it close in the first quarter and you go into halftime and you're down by 7 or less, I honestly think they're in pretty good shape, man. I think they got a shot. I think this defense is going to be much improved. You're going against Tom Brady, and if you remember last year, the Bucks started off pretty slow and they got to clicking there at the end of the year when you want to start clicking. The only real concern I have is, is Dak going to be the rhythm, the timing, which he's looked great in practice, but
we talked about this, yeah.
Game speed's a little bit different, so we'll see how that translates. He may be a little amped up. We'll see, see if his balls are coming out, with a little extra juice on them. I wouldn't be surprised if that sounded really weird. Let me rephrase.
It made me smile.
Yeah, if he throws the ball a little high right out of the gate, but I feel. I don't think anybody's giving us a chance in hell to win, man. Vegas has got us, I think, at 8.5-point underdogs. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Cowboys got a shot. I think it depends on the weather. Now, it rained a little bit earlier. It's humid. It's supposed to not rain after kickoff. So if the rain holds off, I think you're looking at. I'm gonna be bold here, and I'm gonna go Cowboys 24, Bucks 21.
Oh, so we're all fairly close. Yeah. I went 28-24, so we're all fairly close in the same score range. Give me, though, right, what you think the probability of a lightning storm calling off the game? Because I've seen the weather earlier. It looked pretty bad. And they had lightning strikes last week in college.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to clear out, though, by game time. So I think
it is going the other way then. Okay.
Yeah, I think it rained earlier, but I think we should be good. I don't think it will get bad enough. Lightning's the only thing that would stop it. I don't think that's going to happen. So
yeah, I just thought just throw a random one in for you, mate. I just thought I'd just throw a random weather question in.
You know what? It is Florida, so there's no telling what will happen. So you never know.
Yeah. That's it. And Florida, if you get like a 10% lightning probability, that means 100%, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's like New Orleans. It rains somewhere in the city every day. So
yeah. But one of the things we was looking at just at the minute, and give us yours, is we were just doing our fantasy section, and all it is fairly simple: over or under. So the boys have done. I'll just give you the Cowboy section, and I know you've got other stuff to do, so we'll let you crack on. Just give me your over and under whether you think this is going to happen. Dak, 20 fantasy points.
Over. Give me the over.
Over. You're over. All right. Hold on. Let me put this in. Zeke, 14 fantasy points. Bearing in mind they're playing the number 1 rush defense from last year.
Are we talking point per reception league or just normal
Half.
fantasy?
This is half.
Half, I would go. You said 14?
Mm.
Give me the over.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get involved in this. I think
I said, tell me what you think about this. My theory on this is that he's going to get an equal amount of rushing and receiving yards.
I don't think that's... it's going to be interesting to see how they use him and Tony Pollard. Because I think Pollard showed you what he had last year. So it's going to be... If Zeke's the featured back, I think that may be a little bit of a stretch. I think he's definitely going to get more rushing than receiving yards. I would say he's probably going to double his receiving yards rushing. So I look for him to have maybe 80, 85 yards rushing, maybe 35 receiving. So we'll see. I could be totally
All
wrong.
right then. Yeah. CD Lamb, 16 fantasy points.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? It's going to be hit or miss all year. I think you're going to have one of those 3 guys that's going to get 15 to 20 points a game, and then the other guys are going to get around 10. So I think if it's his turn, I think this is, I think this might be Amari's game. Next week maybe CD, but I feel like Amari's going to have something to prove. He's been, he's been out of most of the year, and if you remember back to training camp, Dak talked about the first ball that he threw whenever he came out to his first practice. Who was it to? It was to Blake Jarwin, and why? Because him and Blake rehabbed all year together, and he knew they both had something to prove, and he wanted him to get the first ball. I think maybe if you think about that, maybe he's got the same mentality with Amari. They might try to get him involved early just because Dak, him and Dak haven't really had that connection. Get him out early, get him involved, and here we go. So.
Yeah, I think I'm the same as you. The wide receivers for the Cowboys in terms of fantasy is who breaks off the biggest chunk, who has that chunk play.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why it's completely random.
Tight ends too. Dalton Schultz he's the starter as far as the depth chart, but I think it's probably because he's the better blocker of the two. So, but I think either of them can go for 60 to 120 yards per game, depending on whose turn it is. So.
Exactly. So we'll finish the fantasy section there. But what are you doing after the game? Doing anything nice?
Yeah, I'm getting on a bus and going home, and so should be
going to try and make it to the. Oh, go on. Sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to cut you off, mate.
No, I was just saying. Then we get to get up and go to work on Friday. So yeah,
exactly.
Hopefully we win, get a lot better.
So you're not going to the Miller Lighthouse then?
I won't make it home in time, but I wish I was there. I hear I would love to. I would not trade my place here watching the game on the field for anything, man. I'm so pumped that football's back and we're back on the road with the team and things are somewhat back to normal. Full stadium tonight, so it's going to be great. Yeah,
and that was the biggest thing. We're watching college last week. The big thing for me, and we put it in one of the notes, was people in the crowds.
Yep, exactly. All the pregame stuff. It's going to be something else tonight. So we're pumped. So, fellas, I got to run. I got to go.
Yeah, we'll let you go.
Good catching up. Mate. Be able to touch base and let's get that W. Let's start the season off right.
Yep,
that's it. Let's do it. I'll speak to you off here later, mate, and we'll get something to get you back on again, mate.
All right, Jamie, Lauren, Mike, appreciate it. We'll see you guys.
Stay safe, brother.
All right, boys.
There we go. Look at that quick fly in by Shannon. Look.
That beard's always impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. It always comes out different as well, doesn't it? You look at it and you're like, wow. When we go over there and meet him, we definitely need to style it for him one evening.
Put little braids in it.
yeah, put some beads in it, all the rest. Right, before we go any further, just a very quick shout out because the boys are going for it right now. It's Cowboys experience. If you're going to go to a game this year, guys, make sure you book it through Cowboys experience. They have game day packages, tailgate pies, which no, I won't give it away. You might see something later, maybe not. We'll see how things go on. But if you do book it with them, guys, let us know. Make sure you use the discount code UK Cowboys, because, guys, what happens if you say the words UK Cowboys to Cowboys experience?
You get chocolate pudding.
You get chocolate pudding.
Free of charge as well.
Free.
No, you get free stuff.
You get some free. You get some free stuff to go with.
Maybe like for around like Christmas time, it's like we could see if we could get Barry to like change the thing to like chocolate pudding, like the code. It's just a long question.
But guys, it was good. It's the first pre-game show of the year. Another 16 of these. We'll be right here, right with you guys, talking, crying, all the rest of it. We are back on Tuesday. Brian usually does the post-game show, but it'll be myself. So unfortunately, you got me 3 times in a row. So I do apologize for that. Listening to my voice in my new corner, because my office is gone now because of child number 2 is on the way. I'm now here.
He's in the shed in the garden.
Yeah, that's secretly where I am. Yeah. Or like,
That's
I'm like in.
Soon enough as well.
I'm just hoping it's not sat on, I'm just hoping that's not how your bathroom's decorated. You just sat on the bog.
Yeah, I don't. Can you imagine that? And I've just stuck some flags up to hide like the background, or you pull the curtain, the flags back, and you're in a shop. Like that's like a scene off Aeroplane or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
You pull it back and it's just like wild animals roaming free, and you're just in a field. Oh man, we can't do this again, because the last time we started laughing like this on this show, it all went horribly wrong. But guys, yes, let's try and get that win. Like Shannon said, get the big W to start the season off. All we're looking for is progress, is for me. But I always say I'm always for the win. But that is it from season 3, episode number 2. It is the pre-game show for the Bucks. Stay safe, guys, and we'll see you on the other side. I'll let Jamie and Ron take it away, and we'll see you on Tuesday, same time, 9 p.m.
Enjoy, guys.
Have a good night, guys. Go Cowboys, and have a good week. And I'll see you next week.